Hi everyone, I am Nilay, and since my friend Sana is finished, I will continue with final design phase, important remaining tasks. So let's begin. First of all, we will continue with step 9, which is how are you going to grade? Well, at this time, you are ready to develop your grading system. It should reflect the full range of learning goals and activities, but it's also important to remember that you do not have to grade everything. In addition, the relative weight of each item as it affects the course grade should reflect the relative importance of that activity. So let's continue. Well, we have grading systems and we have some requirements of grading systems. And these are the important points of a grading system. Well, the primary purpose of a grading system is to clearly, accurately, consistently, and fairly communicate the learning progress and achievement to the students. The grading system ensures consistency and fairness in the assessment of learning and in the assignment of scores and proficiency levels against the same learning standards across students, teachers, assessments, learning experiences, and content areas time. Third, the grading system is not used as a form of punishment, control, or compliance. In proficiency-based learning systems, what matters most is where students end up, not where they start up or how they behaved along the way. Meeting and exceeding challenging standards define success, and the best grading systems motivate students to work harder, overcome failures, and excel academically. Let's see some examples of types of grading systems. First of all, grading percentage, like you can see in here, 0 to 100%, and letter grading variations from A grade to F grade, standard reference grading, typically comparing to students each other with letter grades, mastery grading, students are rated as masters or passers, a common scale, pass or fail, rating expectations, comparing student success with a pre-established performance level of quality, and we have narrative grading, writing feedback on learners, and many more. These are the examples. So my question to you, not my question to you, I have a video about a grading system which is contain contains a teacher's criticism about the grading system. Let's see. It's here.
And gotcha grading.
Again.
I first came upon this realization when I was teaching college, and I had just finished a wonderful semester, the kind of semester that you feel is magical as a teacher. The students worked hard. In order to get into my class, they had to pass a number of prerequisites. And so these were all the kids who did well in the prerequisites that came into my class. And I was excited to be teaching them, and they were excited to be there. There were tests, there were quizzes, there were lots of papers. It was a very rigorous curriculum. And at the end of the semester, I was so excited when I had to grade these students because the majority of them had earned A's, and there were some B's in the class. And I thought, wow, I'm a good teacher, and they're good students, and we were all happy together. Well, a few days later, I ran into my department chair in the hall, and he said, you know, I want to talk to you about your grades. And I naively said, yeah, isn't it fantastic? My students did so well. They worked so hard. We had great class discussions. It was just an amazing semester. And he said, yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about. He said, you can't have grades like this next semester. You've already given these grades to your students, so I can't change them. But next semester, I want your grades to reflect the grades of the rest of the department. Here were the grades of the rest of the department. He said, give 1/3 C's, 1/3 B's, and 1/3 A's. And he said, we hold to that pretty strictly here, as some universities do that. Princeton just changed their grading system, I think, this past month. But many schools hold very strictly to the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And I said, but wait, what if my students really worked hard and they earned those A's? It wasn't like I randomly gave A's to make them happy. They earned them. Their paper averages, their test averages, their quiz averages were A's. And I said also because they had to take prerequisites to get into the class, these were all solid A students coming into my class. It wasn't like I could just randomly give C's. And he said, well, you're going to have to throw the students a little bit. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, well, give some surprise quizzes next semester. Maybe give some tests with trick questions on them. Or maybe create a curve, announce to the class you're going to curve their grades so that kids who would normally give a B to might get a C now. And the kids with the A- might get the Bs, and the kids with the A+ will get the As. And that way you'll be able to do 1/3 A's and 1/3 B's and 1/3 C's. Well, that hurt. I didn't like that. I always felt like if you earn something, you should get what you earn.
Oh, this was the video, and we quickly talk about. We will quickly talk about that because I have a question for you, and which is, what do you think about that criticism? This is my question to you, and we can go on with that. We have step 10, what could go wrong? It's also a question to you. What could go wrong in a course, in a lesson, in a class? I solved that problem with more questions. Here are some questions considered when designing a course. Exploring these questions will help you develop a detailed course plan. For example, who are my students? What are their interests? What are their needs? What are their goals? What is my maximum class size? Where will the course take place and what time? What facilities are available? Will the students have access to computers? What types of equipments will I have access to? What resources will I use and where to find them? Do the students have prerequisite knowledge or I need to refresh them? How much time should I spend on each topic area? How can I limit the possibility of plagiarism and cheating? What ways will I assign to assessment methods? Why? If I want flexible grading criteria, how can I build this into a course? Are the necessary resources available? What teaching methods seem appropriate given the assessment methods? And many more questions can solve that question. What could go wrong? So let's continue with step 11. Let students know what you are planning. A syllabus. Well, a syllabus is what a student needs to educate himself or herself. It's a course structure laid out on a piece of paper, which is the students study throughout the entire year. All the knowledge and information that a student acquires is through the curriculum that the school authorities grade. And we should also talk about a well-designed syllabus. It provides a solid beginning to the semester, sets the tone for the course, provides a conceptual framework for the course, serves a virtual handshake between the instructor and students, and becomes a resource that is referred to over the course of the semester. And why a syllabus is so important? It actually creates a link between teachers and students by setting the goals in advance that they have to achieve by end of the session. The syllabus develops a spirit from the beginning by laying out the course of action. It has all the details that are necessary for the academic advancement of the students at every level. One of the best benefits of a syllabus is that it guides the students about the structure and the course learning outcomes and goals. A syllabus has all the responsibilities that a student must carry out the clear exams with flying colors. It also outlines the obligations that a teacher has to perform for the benefit of the students. It also includes all the activities that students will learn out of their classrooms. So another question is, how do you want to communicate the syllabus to students, online or paper? And we can go on with that. And step 12, How will you know how the course is going, how it went? Well, sometimes when we say the lesson went well, we mean that we managed to get through the lesson without a classroom disaster. A lesson that's going well is often equivalent to a classroom where students are working, remaining quiet, or appearing engaged. But how do we really know if students are actually learning in the class? Well, there are some examples in there. For example, you can collect feedback throughout the semester as well as at the end. You can use a variety of information sources like videotape of the class sessions, students' interviews and questionnaires, student ratings. And also a teacher should consider that specific issues like the degree to which your goals for the course were achieved, the effectiveness of a particular learning activity, and your ability to interact effectively with students. So let's see one more video and then we will see one more. It's about feedbacks and why is a feedback is so important.
Feedback is a powerful way to achieve improvement in teaching and learning. It is an integral part of every teacher's practice and, when used effectively, can improve student learning by as much as 8 months. As teachers and school leaders, it's essential to understand what evidence-based feedback is if we're to unlock the greatest possible benefits for our students. So, what does the research tell us about feedback in teaching? Feedback is an ongoing process of goal setting, gathering evidence about student learning, and providing instruction that makes clear the next actions to improve performance. Feedback can be given by the teacher, peers, or the student themselves. 2 evidence-based models for feedback have been developed by Hattie and Timperley and Black and William. Both models propose 3 important questions for both the student and teacher to consider. Where is the learner going? Students and teachers need to be clear about the learning goals and what success looks like. Goals need to be appropriately challenging so the students can succeed and grow. Where is the learner right now? Evidence is gathered about the student's knowledge, skills, and performance relative to the learning goals and tasks. How does the learner get there? This involves clarifying the steps the student needs to take to achieve the learning goals. If needed, the teacher adapts or changes the teaching and learning activities to meet the student's needs. Feedback can be directly related to the learning task, which is useful. However, feedback about the processes underlying the task or about how students self-regulate their learning is more powerful. So, what are the benefits of effective feedback? Research indicates that effective feedback can increase student effort and outcomes, lead to more effective learning strategies, and improve student self-regulation. The benefits for teachers are also significant. Effective feedback practices provide evidence about student learning related to learning goals and the curriculum. This helps teachers understand the impact of their teaching and, if needed, where to adapt strategies to better meet the needs of their students. To improve and sustain good feedback practices, it is vital that educators work collaboratively. School leaders can support teachers by prioritising feedback and implementing a whole school approach, providing access to resources and opportunities for professional learning and collaboration. Teachers can develop their feedback practices by communicating clear learning goals, trialling activities that provide evidence of student learning, planning for task, process, and self-regulated feedback, checking that students understand and act on the feedback provided, and working with colleagues to develop and refine feedback practices. Feedback is evidence-based and inexpensive to implement. It offers a powerful approach to enriching teacher practice and significantly enhancing student growth. For resources that will help you improve your feedback practices, visit.
And this was the second video about feedback for teachers, also for students, also for peers. And we have one more video. And this is an example of a video session of a class.
Video component of math
Let's
looks like
see.
in action.
Good morning, everybody. Let's talk about what's going on today to get started. Doing a peer review day, okay, peer review day. And our goal by the end of class is for you to be able to determine whether or not you have moves to prove in your essays.
My name is Sarah Brown Westling. I am a high school English teacher at Johnston High School in Johnston, Iowa.
Turn to somebody next to you. Tell them what you think I mean when I talk about moves to prove.
I think that there is a difference for teachers between the abstract of how we see our practice and then the concrete reality of it.
Okay, so I would like you to please bring up your papers.
I think what video offers for us is a certain degree of reality. You can't really dispute what you see on the video. And there is a lot to be learned from that. And there's a lot of ways that we can grow as a profession when we actually get to see this. I just have a flip camera and a little tripod and invested in a tiny little wide angle lens. At the beginning of class, I just perch it in the back of the classroom. It's not a perfect shot. It doesn't catch every little thing that's going on, but I can hear the sound, I can see a lot, and I'm able to learn a lot from it. So it really has been a simple but powerful tool in my own reflection.
All right, let's take a look at the long one first, okay?
Once I'm finished taping, then I put it in my computer and then I'll scan it and, take a peek at it. If I don't write things down, I don't remember them. So having the notes is part of my thinking process, and I discover what I'm seeing as I'm writing. I really have used it for my own personal growth, my own personal reflection on teaching strategy and methodology and classroom management, just all of those different facets of the classroom.
I'm glad that we've actually done the process before so we can kind of compare what works, what doesn't. So
I think that video exposes so much of what's intrinsic to us as teachers in ways that help us learn and help us understand, and then help our broader communities understand what this complex work is really all about. I think it is a way to exemplify and illustrate things that we cannot convey in a lesson plan, things you cannot convey in a standard, things that you cannot even sometimes convey in a book of pedagogy.
alrighty, everybody, have a great weekend. I'll see you later.
And this was it, an example of a videotape class session. So let's continue with the slide. What do you think of that? Would you do the videotape of the class session, or would you not? This is this is also my question to you. And the next step, there is no step, concluding all the phases. And remember, although developing a good design or plan for your course is very important, it's only a plan. Like our plans, you need to keep it flexible and subject to change as it implements. Let's see. Be sure to make some changes in each of the 3 phases because each affects and reinforces each other. For example, start by making changes to strong primary components, initial design phase. Do a somewhat more in-depth analysis of situational factors. Add one new kind of significant learning to your list of your learning goals. Add one additional kind of educative assessment. Add one new kind of active learning in which the students engage, and check to make sure the components are integrated and aligned. And once you have strong primary components, then you can work on assembling these into a more coherent whole, intermediate design phase. First of all, clarify or simplify the structure of your course, create a differentiated set of learning activities, and lay out some kind of scheme for the overall set of learning activities. And when you have a coherent scheme of learning activities, you can finish the remaining task, the final design phase. First of all, coordinate your grading system with the design of the course, debug potential problems, put together a syllabus that communicates the design of the course more clearly, and plan more through evaluation of the course and your own teaching. And this was the sum up. So thank you for listening. This is the end of my presentation. And if you have any questions, you can ask. I will be here, or I can give you my email to you if you have any. So take care.